The police lights were strobing across my backyard when Linda Hargrove jabbed a perfectly manicured finger at my pool cover like it was hiding a body. "He's spying on the whole neighborhood, on our children," she shrieked at the officers. I didn't raise my voice. I just held up my phone and said, "Actually, officers, the only person caught on camera breaking the law last night was her. Let me take you back to how a simple safety upgrade in sunny Willow Creek, California, turned into the most satisfying takedown of an HOA tyrant you'll ever hear." The neighborhood looked like the kind of place people moved to for peace: identical beige houses, perfectly edged lawns, kids on bikes. The whole postcard dream. I'd bought the house 2 years earlier after losing my wife, wanting a quiet place to raise my 6-year-old son, Noah. He loved the pool. What he didn't love were the neighborhood kids who kept jumping my fence when I was at work. One afternoon the sitter called in a panic. 3 boys had been splashing around unsupervised. One slipped, went under for a few terrifying seconds before they pulled him out. That was it. I wasn't risking my son's life or my liability anymore. I installed a top-of-the-line smart pool cover, solar-powered, AI motion detection, automatic logging. The works. It sealed the pool like a vault, kept debris out, and gently recorded movement near the water for safety alerts only. Nothing left my property network. Just peace of mind. By Monday the whispers had already started. Linda Hargrove appeared at my gate before noon, clipboard in hand. Smile stretched so tight it looked painful. She was the HOA president, 8 years running, and she wore the title like a crown. "Good morning, Mr. Brooks," she sang in that syrupy voice that always came right before the knife. "I couldn't help noticing the industrial addition to your backyard. It really disrupts the aesthetic harmony we've worked so hard to maintain here in Willow Creek." I leaned on the fence. "It's a safety cover, Mrs. Hargrove. After some kids nearly drowned in my pool last month, I figured protecting children was more important than matching patio furniture." She tilted her head. The universal Karen signal for "I'm about to pretend I care." We all care about safety, of course. But Section 7.3 of the covenants is very clear: all pool equipment must blend with the community's natural aesthetic. That silver thing looks like something from a sci-fi movie. And frankly, who knows what kind of data it's collecting? I smiled politely. "It logs motion near the water so I get alerted if a child, or anyone, gets too close after hours. That's it. No cameras pointed at your house. No footage of your backyard barbecues. Just safety." She scribbled something on her clipboard, the pen scratching like tiny claws. "We'll have to review this with the board. I'm sure you understand." "Oh, I understand perfectly," I said. "And if the board has questions, I'm happy to send over the manufacturer certifications and the California safety codes that specifically recommend systems like this." Her smile flickered for half a second. Then she reached over the fence and ran her fingers along the edge of the cover, testing it like she was inspecting contraband. The system logged it instantly. 3:14 p.m. Single subject. 127 seconds of contact. She walked away clicking her heels like she'd just won a war. That night I checked the app. There she was on the night vision feed, leaning over my fence, touching what wasn't hers. I saved the clip and poured myself a drink. Some people collect stamps. Linda collected power trips. The violation notice arrived 3 days later. Slipped under my door like a ransom note. Unauthorized technology altering visual harmony. They actually used the phrase visual harmony. I laughed so hard Noah asked if I was okay. I replied the same day with a 12-page PDF, certifications, state codes, safety studies. even an energy efficiency report. My email was pure sugar. Please find attached full documentation showing compliance. I trust this resolves the matter. Her reply came at 6:47 a.m. The next morning, classic power move timing. Thank you for your prompt response, Mr. Brooks. The board will evaluate whether your interpretation of the covenants aligns with the spirit of our community standards. We'll be in touch. The spirit. That's HOA speak for we'll move the goalposts whenever we feel like it. By the weekend the neighborhood vibe had shifted. People who used to wave now suddenly found their mailboxes fascinating when I walked by. Noah came home from school one day and asked why no one wanted to come over for a swim anymore. Mrs. Hargrove told the moms your pool might be recording them, he said innocently. I felt that familiar burn in my chest, the same one I'd felt when people spread rumors about me after my wife died, claiming I was too distracted to be a good father. I'd stayed quiet then. I wasn't staying quiet this time. I just smiled at Noah and said, "Don't worry, buddy. Some people are scared of things they don't understand." But I was watching. And logging. Every single thing. The real turning point came at 11:47 p.m. On a Tuesday. The app pinged. Unauthorized access detected. 3 heat signatures. One of them moved with that unmistakable stiff-backed authority even in infrared. Linda. Clipboard in hand. Flashlight sweeping my yard like she owned it. 2 board members trailed behind her. Looking nervous but obedient. They lifted the edge of the cover. Took photos. Whispered about verifying compliance. I watched the whole thing in real time from my office. Heart pounding but hands steady. When they finally slunk away, I exported the footage. Duplicated it in 3 places. And labeled the folder HOA trespass, time-stamped evidence. The next morning the fines started arriving like clockwork. $250 for non-compliant equipment. Another $150 for aesthetic violation. Then $500 for potential electronic interference. They were throwing everything at the wall. Neighbors stopped talking to me entirely. Someone left a note in my mailbox, "Think of the children." I almost framed it. Linda walked past my house every evening now, slowing down dramatically to stare at the pool cover like it personally offended her ancestors. One afternoon she actually stopped and announced loudly to her walking partner, "Some people just refuse to be team players." I stepped onto the porch. Team players don't usually trespass at midnight. Mrs. Hargrove. She froze. For the first time. Something like real panic flashed across her face before the mask slammed back down. "I have no idea what you're talking about." I just smiled. "Of course you don't." The breaking point came when she called the police. 2 officers showed up on a bright Thursday afternoon. Linda was already in my driveway. Arms crossed. Looking victorious. "Sir, we received a complaint that your pool equipment is recording residents without consent," the older officer said. Sounding exhausted. Linda jumped in immediately. "It's a safety issue. Officers. He's got cameras pointed at the whole neighborhood. Children play here." I invited the officers inside. Calm as could be. "Would you like to see what the system actually does?" I mirrored my phone to the TV. The footage from that Tuesday night started playing, crystal clear night vision. Timestamps glowing. Badge numbers from their reflective vests visible. Linda's face filled the screen as she leaned over my fence. Flashlight in one hand. Phone in the other. Whispering. "He can't hide behind technology forever." The younger officer actually whistled. "Ma'am, that's you." Linda's face went through every stage of grief in 4 seconds. Denial. Anger. bargaining, and finally pure, unfiltered panic. Her mouth opened and closed like a fish. That was a compliance check. For the community. The older officer wasn't having it. At 11:47 p.m., without notice, on private property, I handed them a USB drive. Everything's timestamped, geotagged, and backed up, including the part where she called in enforcement. Linda tried one last desperate swing. This is harassment. He's the one with the surveillance. The officer looked at her. Then at the frozen image of her own face caught red-handed. Ma'am. Right now the only surveillance violation we're seeing is yours. She stormed off, heels stabbing the pavement like she was trying to murder it. But that wasn't the end. That was the spark. 2 days later, an unmarked envelope slid under my door. Inside were printed emails, dozens of them, from the HOA board's private thread. Linda's name was all over them. Frame Brooks for privacy violation. Use the fines to keep everyone distracted. Relabel the spa renovation as security upgrades. No one checks the receipts. She hadn't just been harassing me. She'd been skimming HOA funds for years. Faking projects. Bullying residents into silence. I sent everything to the county that same afternoon. The county investigators rolled in like the wrath of God wearing navy windbreakers. Linda tried to block them from the HOA office, clutching her binder like a shield. This is private property. The lead investigator didn't even blink. Not when you're misusing resident money and violating state privacy laws. Ma'am. They froze the accounts the same day. The audit took 3 weeks. Every fake invoice, every late-night inspection, every threatening email came out. At the emergency HOA meeting, the clubhouse was packed. Linda stood at the front trying to look presidential. But her hands were shaking so hard the microphone picked it up. When the investigator played the trespass footage on the big screen and then laid out the financial crimes, the room went dead silent. Then someone in the back started slow clapping. It spread like wildfire. Linda's face collapsed. The mask was gone. All that was left was a small, terrified woman who finally realized the rules she'd weaponized for years applied to her too. She was removed as president that night. The county appointed an interim board. Every unlawful fine was refunded. New rules passed by actual resident vote, 48-hour notice for any inspection, full financial transparency. And, ironically, safety pool covers were now encouraged. 3 months later, Willow Creek felt different. People waved again. Kids played in the street. Noah had friends over every weekend. I still have the smart cover. Now when neighbors want to use the pool for birthday parties, they just message the group chat. I open it remotely and the system logs consensual access. No more secrets. Just trust. Linda moved away quietly. Last I heard, she tried to join another HOA board 2 towns over. They rejected her application after someone anonymously sent them the news articles. Funny how that works. The pool cover still hums softly at night, keeping watch, not over neighbors, but over the one thing Linda Hargrove could never control, the truth. So here's the question I want you to answer honestly in the comments. Was the real violation my pool cover or the woman who believed her title gave her the right to trespass, lie, and steal from the very people she claimed to protect? Who was actually in the wrong here? Drop your stories. I read every single one.